change agent, generational curse breaker, the one breaking with tradition, doing too much, switching up, or why you always want to change everything all the time. These are a few of the terms or phrases that are often said to you or about you when you are actively making changes to your personal lifestyle or the patterns in your friendships or your family relationships, which will contribute to your personal legacy. So, if you can relate to being misunderstood for wanting to do better, then this episode is for you.
Hi, I'm Pam Williams, a mother.
And I'm Jessica E. Williams, a daughter. And this is a mother and a daughter truthful chat, where we discuss our 35-year multi-layered relationship.
We've been through so many ups and downs. Not only are we family, but we're business partners in the high-stress world of event planning and production for short films.
We've also shared the same therapist for over 10 years. What some people call codependence, we call collaboration.
So join us as we share stories from our lives,
have candid conversations with other mother-daughter duos,
and shed light on the roller coaster ride of being a woman while raising a woman. Welcome to Truthful Chats, 20 minutes or less designed to help us get to the place of generational wellness, right? More on that below. So each month we have a theme, a generational wellness theme, and on our Truthful Chat Thursdays, we kind of unpack that theme a little bit, talk about it, chop it up. And the theme for this month is March.
It is March.
It's March. It just happened, right?
Month of the year.
Yeah,
wow.
Here we are. So the theme for March is believe. And today's episode will talk about believing in the power of legacy. Today we're discussing the joy and hope of celebrating our family traditions, our rich legacies, while writing new narratives that provide healthy alternatives, healthier family relationships, and patterns that will help us build kind of a hybrid legacy, as it were. Let's talk about that. A hybrid legacy that allows you to take some of the past and then line it up with your own personal values and beliefs for where you are right now in 2023.
Exactly. So in February, of course, we celebrated Black History Month. Check out the episode if you haven't. It was kind of lit. And now we're in March. So we're celebrating Women's History Month. And naturally, this month will make us all think about like women who changed the globe on this like incredible, huge world stage and platform, which we'll talk more about later in the episode. But for me, I feel like women's history is about celebrating and honoring the women around me every day, like that contribute to my life, of course, like my mother and my sister and my cousins and my friends, hey girls, and my aunties. So it's all good. Good. Celebrating y'all.
Real aunties and play aunties. We can talk about that too, right? So absolutely, women are the backbone of so many families in every racial and ethnic group, but particularly in African American families. A strong woman is actually a big part of all of our legacies, right? We all had a big mama or female figure in our community who had a particular brand of strength and wisdom and understanding. And all of us looked up to those people, and they helped to shape us and help us to better understand our past and our identities. And so given our history as Black people being sold as slaves, it's, we all know it, the trauma of it. That is really important, that we have a really strong foundation and a really strong identity, because, part of that legacy was that we were sold and separated, and it was hard to maintain a sense of family and
your direct bloodline for sure.
Yeah, a sense of family. So I think that's one of the reasons that we have all formed these extended families that are just as important to us as our real families, because that's just who we are. We take the village and help raise the babies. Amen.
I mean, which is an African proverb, but you're so churchy, not amen. So yeah, I like to think that that history and us having to sort of like piecemeal and make our own families. It's sort of like we create our own unique dynamic family structures, which are reflected in our affections and our labels for each other. Like we were saying, play cousins, my play aunties, my play uncles, my play brothers and sisters. Like we just create our own families. So it reflects the idea.
And a lot of times we're closer with those play
people than sometimes our actual family, which is true. And that just sort of reflects the idea that like your family can be of your choosing. And although we might not be necessarily related by blood, but we share the same heart or we align on the same values a lot of the times, which is cool. And I think we also have pride as Black people, in terms of being a family through the Black experience, through what we call the culture, right? Which we celebrate in a variety of ways. We do it in stories and songs and ceremonies and art and music and dance. And it's also one of the reasons I say, we say like, yo, what up, fam? Like we all feel like we're one big connected family, in this whole sort of expression of what it means to be Black, particularly in this country. And that's globally. I think African-American and our impact as a culture has definitely reached across the diaspora, which is cool. So the culture which we reflect in sort of our creative expressions is often celebrated on the mainstream platforms. I think we all know what we mean by that. And that even though those feel like super new and super exciting to people who are outside of our community, for Black people, this just really like a direct connection to the artistic expressions of our ancestors and the people that came before us. So it's really a way that we, honor people. I think of just off the cuff, when Beyonce did B-Day, and I think she was doing Deja Vu, and I forgot what award ceremony it was, but she pretty much like had on the Josephine Baker banana skirt and like really was, paying homage to Josephine Baker's legacy and history. So it shows up if you paying attention and you know the history and the things that we're doing. And so these are just like a few examples of the queen is always on the brain. That's weird. Positive ways.
Don't say that. They'll be talking about she got you.
Right. Beyonce is not a demon. Let's just one day we're gonna come over here and talk about the church's obsession with Beyonce. Like we're really gonna talk about it. I'm kind of sick of it.
Not tonight.
Not tonight though. But anyway, back on track. These are just a few examples of the positive ways that we honor our tradition and our ancestors and our family legacies. But with everything good, unfortunately, there can also be a downside to those things. And you may need help to get to the other side of working through those downsides, right? So we're going to throw up a couple of organizations that we found that may help you on that journey. It's for various and sundry things. Mainly to help Black women at all ages, stages, and places in your life. So find the one that works for you and check them out. And if you just Google Black mental health organizations or emotional organizations, whatever you need, there's going to be something for you. And I think this is important to highlight because I sort of touched on it in today's intro, but like not all the traditions that we have are necessarily good or contribute to the vision and future that we have for ourselves and our loved ones. If, we're starting our own families, our own groups, especially when we go to college, you meet people from all different walks of life and it might not be the same as yours. And that can be jarring for folks. And so you are well within your rights to change what you feel or what you think about things because you have freedom of choice. But that type of change is not always an easy process to go through. And you can really leave you feeling isolated and really alone a lot of the times. And to quote our friends over at Woman Evolve, shout out to SJR, the whole crew, and the delegation. Just because you know better don't mean that you are always going to be doing better, right? And I'll even add to that if you are a person who is knowing better and doing better, grace and peace to you for being amazing. It can really be a lonely trek sometimes, especially in a family unit, if you're the only person in the family that's doing those things and making those changes. So you may have to, sort of change up your circle, change up your environments, change up the people that you're hanging around and find people that are on the same page to support you in order to make lasting change. Don't be afraid to branch out a little bit.
Yeah, and as we are honoring, our ancestors and the legacy that we have, it's also necessary to look at the weaknesses that we see in our family and our communities and not be afraid to talk about that kind of stuff, because we can use it to shore up our family relationships and create a better dynamic and to create that culture of generational wellness that we believe is so important.
Impossible.
Yeah. And it may require talking about stuff that nobody in your family has talked about in years. You may have to be the one to bring it up. I remember in my family, I was the first one that started saying, I love you all the time. My family is not mushy and lovey-dovey. And, I just started with, when you get off the phone, when you do this, I love you, whatever. And, slowly but surely it picked up. But
she was also the baby. So,
yeah, I could get away with things, I guess.
Don't do what she said.
But it is true. We have these secrets and we have these ways that we do things in our family, and we don't know why we do them that way. Nobody has talked about it in years. We don't talk about Bruno. Ain't got nothing on Black families. Like, we have so much deep-seated, many, many things that we just don't bring up. And it's detrimental for our children. I cannot tell you how many times, the younger part of our family has said, wait, what happened? Why didn't anybody ever tell me that? Why don't I know this? We were watching an episode.
There's a great episode about
Harlem last week.
About that Quinn, played by the incredible Grace Byers. About her mental health struggles that she has this season, and it runs in her family. And of course, no one ever talked about it.
Nobody ever talked about it.
Theme is that, like, why do we hide these kinds of things in Black families? Because it's really important. So check that out too.
So these, as you know, and if you don't know and you keep following us, you will know that we are ardent believers in therapy. We've been in therapy for 10 years, over 10 years, probably
like 12 now. But
anyway, we had a session this morning.
Every 2 weeks, don't miss it.
We do not miss. We might go without food, but we're not going to miss that therapy session because we just believe it's really important to find a way to have hard conversations in your families, with your friends. And if you can't have those conversations, you can't ever get healthy, because there's always going to be something bubbling right under the surface. Something, if you stick a pin in, it's going to explode and you're not going to know why. So you just really...
gatherings are awkward.
Yeah, you just really have to make an effort to reach out to somebody if you need help, because you will need help. Because sometimes navigating through these conversations when nobody in your family has ever had them before, they don't believe in having them, all of those things, that can be rough water. So that's why we are giving you some resources, and we'll keep putting them up as we find them and letting you know where you can go to get help, to get better, because we all want to be better.
To get better. BetterHelp is also a great resource. So
BetterHelp.
We are shutting off the resources, but if you got to go back and get them, they're also going to be below the video. So don't trip. We got you. And we really hope that this Truthful Chat, has been really helpful and has given you permission to think about the ways that you can honor your past legacy while you're creating a new one. And we don't believe that those things are mutually exclusive. We believe in the both. Both things can exist at the same time. And we're going to unpack way more about this topic coming up in the next month. So stay tapped in. But right now, we're about to transition into something kind of cool. So we talked about wanting to honor incredible women during Women's History Month. So we will be highlighting Black women, of course, that you may have never heard of. So today we are starting with a history profile on Muriel Burrell Smith. I don't know if she's related to Kim Burrell, but we'll see. So she is a mezzo soprano, which means what, Pam?
A half soprano and half contralto. So that means she can sing kind of in a lower range and then go all the way up to soprano.
Well, they got to have the dramatics in opera. It just sounds like she can sing to me. That's all I heard. So she was born in Harlem, which is where I was born. And she was born on February 23rd, which is Pam's birthday, but obviously the year is different. She was born in 1923. And at age 14, she was actually featured on a CBS radio theater program in New York City, which is super dope. In 1939, she ended up attending and was admitted to the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, which is a private conservatory for some of the world's most talented young musicians. She was actually the first African-American to study at Curtis, and there was no tuition to charge for those students enrolled in the institution. She graduated in 1946 in the same class as Leonard Bernstein. So the famous conductor. See, it was a Black woman doing dope things right alongside all these white men that getting the credit all the time. Also, when she was a youngster, she made her debut on Broadway. Hello, somebody. in December of 1943 in the title role of Carmen Jones, for those of y'all that know that opera. And this was an African-American cast, which was pretty cool. But I said 1943, and she graduated in 1946. That means she was having a lead role whilst doing her studies on Broadway. Okay, probably going back and forth between Philly and New York, back and forth. So she did that for about 14 months while she was in school. In 1949, she moved to London and she starred in South Pacific and one of our favorite musicals, The King and I. And she was actually known for being the uncredited ghost singer for Zsa Zsa Gabor and Moulin Rouge, the original, not the Nicole Kidman. Like, you got to go back in the archives for this one, okay? And then in 1955, she returned to the United States, where she did a lot of dubbing work for actresses. If anybody knows what that is, that means she just either sang or did lines or did all that kind of stuff for the actors when they were not particularly capable. And then this was actually very interesting.
And when they weren't letting Black people
and when
be shown on the screen,
that's true.
They
was using that
behind
voice
the scenes doing the voices.
She was pretty much it was an Ursula situation, if you're familiar with the Little Mermaid. And then this was interesting. She actually was offered a lead role in Porgy and Bess, which is a super famous opera and musical, by Samuel Goldwyn, the important and very famous movie executive, studio founder
of MGM.
And you may know Metro Goldwyn Mayer or MGM Plus in our days and times. And she actually refused that role. She said it doesn't do the right thing for my people. And so all money ain't good money. And then in 1960, she actually made The Crowning Experience, which was a film about the life of the African-American educator, dope G, Mary McLeod Bethune. And the film was one of the first with a multiracial cast of equal billing. That's like a big deal. Sometimes people still don't, to this day, be getting paid what they need to be getting paid in a multiracial cast. So that's awesome. And she was credited with helping to integrate theaters in Atlanta, Georgia. And you know how hard that was, because remember, Ray Charles was born in Georgia and he refused to play down there until they integrated the theaters. So she was really out here making history. So Muriel Burrell Smith was an international artist. Unfortunately, she died of cancer on September 13th, 1985 in Richmond, Virginia. She was only 62. So please, during Women's History Month, as we're highlighting these people, prioritize your health. I could talk about that for myself, but I won't. But it's important to get your screenings and all those things done. And if you want more information on Miss Muriel or any other incredible Black history makers, then please feel free to check out blackwallstreet.org or at Black Wall Street USA on Facebook, which is where we got all this information from today's episode. So yeah, be sure to check that out. There's a lot of really cool information. I learned a lot today. I hope you did as well. It's important. Keep the history going, since history is clearly under assault these days. Also, during Women's History Month, we want you to feel free to leave your favorite dynamic woman from history or anybody you know, like we said, in your family that you feel like is dope and you want to highlight and spotlight so we can celebrate them. So drop that in the comment section. We want to hear from you. And you know how we do. We almost are at time. So we're gonna bid you adieu. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We're gonna be talking, so just keep coming back so you can keep hearing these conversations. But as always, have you subscribed to the YouTube channel? Are you following us on IG? Have you liked us on Facebook? We are at Create Generational Wellness on all these platforms. I'm very excited about another platform we're getting ready to be on. I haven't learned enough about it yet, but I'm very, very excited about it. So you'll know about it once we're ready. So with that, thank you so much for joining us. Check out all the information in the description box or wherever we have all of these various resources and things for you. And we will see you next time.
Thanks for coming.